The Torah is a long scroll of kosher animal skin. If it's completely unrolled, it can go around a large hall. The Torah is written by hand in Hebrew with a special ink, which means the Torah lasts for many, many years. In fact, some Torah scrolls were found in the desert in Israel near the Dead Sea that were 2,000 years old. You'll find a Torah in the Ark in every synagogue in the world. We don't touch the letters with our finger, only with a silver pointer, a yud, shaped like a hand. After we read from Torah, we hold it up so everyone can see it. But what is it? Why is it so important? It's important because it contains many of the best known and loved stories of the Jewish people, starting with Bereshit, the creation of the universe. It goes on to Adam and Eve and the first humans, and then to Noah's Ark and the flood and the rainbow. All of those stories are trying to explain and understand how the world came to be the way it is. The Tower of Babel story both explains how people tried to build tall towers to reach God, but how they all ended up speaking different languages so they couldn't understand each other and complete their towers. Then Torah turns to our own story with the birth of Avram and Sarai. As they got married and grew older and wiser, they realized that there were not many gods like everyone else seemed to believe. A God of rain and a God of love and a God of the harvest and a God for anything you could imagine. They realized that there was only one invisible power of the universe. As they came to understand that and feel God in their heart, they believed that God changed their names. They both added the letter He, indicating God's presence as a part of who they now were. So Avram became Avraham, and Sarai became Sarah. Avraham and Sarah didn't always do the right thing, and neither did their children or the generations that followed. It's not always easy to know what the right thing is. One of Avraham and Sarah's grandchildren was Yaakov or Jacob, and Jacob had many children of his own. Jacob's name was also changed, but not just by one letter. Jacob was renamed Israel, meaning struggle with God. Jacob found it was often difficult to know what was the right thing to do. He even tricked his twin brother and had to run away from home so that he didn't kill him. Jacob often struggled to make the best choices. Since Jacob's name was changed to Israel, his children were known as the children of Israel, or Israelites. The Torah carries on through 5 books, from Bereshit in Hebrew or Genesis in English, to Shemot or Exodus, to Vayikra or Leviticus, to Bamidbar or Numbers, and finally to Dvarim or Deuteronomy. They're often called the 5 books of Moses, though Moses is not even born until the second one. Moses was the great leader who led the Israelites out of slavery in the land of Egypt when God told him to do so. Most of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th books of the Torah describe the 40 years of wandering in the wilderness after the Exodus. As well as the stories, including how Torah itself was given at Mount Sinai, the 5 books contain the laws that form the basis of Jewish life, even today. So you can see why the Torah is so precious to us and why we read from it every week. However, there is an important division in the Jewish world. There are those who believe Torah is what it claims to be, written by God to the Israelite people for all time. It must therefore be true and accurate in every detail, and it must be followed exactly. People who believe this are called orthodox. The rest of us are called progressive. We do not believe that God wrote every word of the Torah. Instead, we believe it is a precious and ancient collection of our stories and traditions. It is a record of our people's search to answer the question, what does God want of us? How should we be decent human beings and create a healthy, fair society? It tells us over and over that God is loving and caring, kind and patient and forgiving. God says, choose life so that you and your descendants may live. This is the sort of behavior we should all try to copy. But it also tells us that God instructs us to stone to death our rebellious children and kill the Canaanites when we conquer their land. Those ideas are clearly not what a caring, loving, forgiving God wants. They are there for other reasons, for parents to scare their children into behaving, or to give hope to soldiers scared to go to battle. Understandable perhaps, but surely not divine instructions. There are also various contradictions in the text, stories repeated but with different details, different styles of language, different styles of vocabulary, even different names of God. Scholars tell us Torah was not written at one time and in one hand. We can see that this is true. Even though Torah contains many deep truths about God, humans, and the universe, we cannot say that every word is true. No one in the world can be Jewish by following only the words of the Torah. For a start, it commands us to make daily animal sacrifices, but we don't have a temple to do that. And we haven't had one for almost 2,000 years since the Romans destroyed it in the year 70 of the Common Era. That tragedy marked the final end of the biblical period and the start of an exciting and important new period, which created the sort of Judaism we know today. It was led by scholars and teachers called rabbis, and so it's called the rabbinic period. In the Torah, Shavuot is a harvest festival held at the end of spring in Israel, marking the wheat harvest. Over the several thousand years since then, it has grown and taken on many new layers of meaning and custom and tradition. Two of these are celebrating the giving of Torah and enjoying cheesecakes and ice cream. Chag Shavuot Sameach.